Hey guys, welcome back to Buzzer to Buzzer. Today, we're going to be analyzing the 2020 NFL season and making predictions such as who will be the offensive rookie of the year, the defensive rookie of the year, the offensive player of the year, and defensive player of the year, along with the most valuable player and the Super Bowl champs. However, we won't be doing this analysis just by ourselves. We have NFL insider Mr. Chad Forbes joining us. Without any further ado, guys, let's get him on the line and let's start analyzing. All right, guys, we have Chad Forbes with us on the line, NFL insider, and let's get this started. First of all, Chad, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to come talk with us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. It was a really big day. I changed sweatpants, and I got takedown. So, just a real, just career-changing day for me.
Hey, sounds monumental. Thanks, man. Hey, so we're going to be talking about the 2020 NFL season and making predictions on what we think is going to be happening. We're going to run through some awards and talk about who's going to be the Super Bowl champ. So without any further ado, let's start off with the first category, that being the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Chad, we want to start off with you. Who do you got in your mind?
I've got to start off. I can't just crowdsource my answer here. So that's a little tough. I'll probably go with, it's always going to be either a quarterback or a running back. Offensive linemen don't matter in the world we live in. So, it's hard, but let's go with Justin Herbert. Somehow the Chargers get to the playoffs, and he's the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Wow, Justin Herbert. Okay, I can say for certain that none of us were expecting that answer out of you. In my opinion, I'm going Joe Burrow. It's the obvious answer, but the amount of offensive firepower which he has shown in LSU, I think that's going to carry over well to the NFL, and it's going to out-trump any success of Justin Herbert.
That's the easy answer, my friend. What's your MVP pick going to be? Patrick Mahomes?
Can't say.
Yo, the thing is, Rayan, I don't think that the Bengals have the same offensive firepower that LSU had. So I'm going to have to go with CeeDee Lamb here for the Rookie of the Year. I think that with the new head coach, Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, I think that he'll really show his true talents, and I think he's going to win the award.
I think a sleeper this offseason has been the Denver Broncos. I think they've made some moves to help their team. I think Jerry Jeudy is going to come out and take the Offensive Rookie of the Year award. They're going to show a major turnaround from last year, and it's going to seem like Jerry Jeudy played a major role, which he will.
Yeah, Harsh, you took those words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to go with. I think Jerry Jeudy was the best receiver in this draft, and he's going to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year.
All right. Let's move on to the second category, that being the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Mr. Chad, you want to start off?
No. I went first originally, so now we got to go reverse order.
Oh, okay. Ari, how about you start off now?
The Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think this is the most obvious answer. I know it's an easy answer, but I just think he'll have the most impact. It's going to be Chase Young at Washington. Yeah. I just think he's a generational talent, and it's just kind of usually it's always a pass rusher who wins this award, and I think he's the best pass rusher in this draft class.
Yeah, no, I'm going to have to 100% agree with Arian here. Chase Young, easy pick for the Defensive Rookie of the Year. And it doesn't seem like there's any competition, right, contending him for that award right now. And obviously something might come up throughout the course of the season. But even so right now, as Arian said, historically, it's a pass rusher award, and he's going to take it home.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. Chase Young, I think he's the best defensive player in the draft. And, yeah, he's definitely going to win that award.
Looks like we're about to agree, man. I'm going to bring you some numbers here. Chase Young has 68 tackles over his career. I think in college, and I think that's going to carry over to the NFL. And as already said, it's a pass rusher award, and Chase Young's going to take it.
A lot of originality out of you guys. Xavier McKinney, safety, New York Giants. And I think that he'll really help upgrade that defense, make it more versatile, and make some plays on the football. And somehow a second-round pick will get the Defensive Rookie of the Year, which will be a surprise to all you Chase Young is the greatest thing since Lawrence Taylor guys.
We appreciate the commentary. Okay. Well, let's move on to some more larger categories, this being the Offensive Player of the Year. Harsh, you want to start off?
Yeah, so my Offensive Player of the Year was second for my MVP, but I think they're more suited for this award. I think it's going to be Josh Allen of Buffalo. I really think he's going to have a step-up season. The AFC East is going to become so much easier with the absence of Tom Brady. I think he's going to have some easy competition, and it's going to make him look like an incredible quarterback.
Okay, I'll go next. I think the Offensive Player of the Year is going to be DeAndre Hopkins. I think that Kyler Murray's gonna get better next year, and I think that D-Hop is gonna catch some great TDs throughout the season.
All right, I think this is going to be another surprise pick, but as you guys know, I'm a big Baker fan. I think he's my second pick for MVP, but I think Baker Mayfield is going to win Offensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to take a major step forward this year and become a top 5 quarterback in the league.
Well, I'm going to go with the player who should have won Offensive Player this year, last season, Christian McCaffrey. Man's had more than 200 rushes, more than 1,000 rushing yards. He has shown what he can do, and this offseason has only allowed him to improve. I'm going Christian McCaffrey.
But anybody that takes a quarterback on this award is cheating because that guy will definitely win the MVP. So I feel like the Offensive Player of the Year should be best offensive player that's not a quarterback. And my pick is the best wide receiver in football. He's not a great dude off the field, but Tyreek Hill is a game changer. I think somehow he goes for like 1,600 yards, 15 touchdowns, and people start realizing that, whoa, Michael Thomas is good, so is New Hopkins, but Tyreek Hill is a stud on the field.
No, definitely. Tyreek Hill showed what he can do in the Super Bowl as well. That man is a different blood, man, for sure. Well, let's move on to the fourth category, that being the Defensive Player of the Year. Arnie, you want to start off?
Defensive Player of the Year, I think I'm going to stick with pass rusher again. I think it's going to be Khalil Mack from the Chicago Bears. I just think he's going to just take a bit, not a big step forward necessarily, but last year he lost Akeem Hicks to injury and Leonard Floyd wasn't producing. And this year he gets Akeem Hicks back. I think the D-line shored up now, and I think he leads the league in sacks this year.
So how much of this is derived from you being a Bears fan, Orion?
Exactly.
Well, this player won Defensive Rookie of the Year, Nick Bosa, and I think he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year next season. And I just think that he's going to get even better than he was last season. And he's a great player, and I think he's going to keep getting better.
I'm going to go with the easy answer here because I've been unconventional on the other ones, but I'll go with Aaron Donald. What I think is so impressive about it is you look at J.J. Watt, he won it 3 times. Lawrence Taylor won it 3 times. Aaron Donald could be the first guy to win Defensive Player of the Year 4 times, and I think that'll kind of cement him as one of the best defensive tackles to ever play the game.
Yeah, no, for sure. Aaron Donald is one of the best defensive tackles to play the game, and that 4th Defensive Player of the Year award will definitely help cement that, and that's why I'm going with Aaron Donald too. You know, last year it wasn't a fantastic season, but it was still great, and I think he's going to show that he's even better than that by improving this year and taking home the award.
You know, I'm going to go with sort of unconventional. You know, you guys have been pretty conventional. This time I'm going to go J.J. Watt. You know, he's won this award previously, and although last season was not his best season, and we can sort of attest that because of him recovering from an injury, I think that he's about to bounce back this season and show people that this award is his and only his. All right, well, let's move on to the biggest award of the 2020 NFL season, that being the Most Valuable Player of the Year. Abi, who do you got for your MVP?
All right, just want to say before I say my player, Chad, don't come at me because I'm going to go with Patrick Mahomes.
Conventional.
Oh, man.
I think it's the obvious answer, and I think that he's definitely the best player in the league by far. I think he has insane talent, and I think he could even be the potential future vote. So, yeah, for sure, Patrick Mahomes.
Interesting. You know, I'm going to have to go with the quarterback too, but mine's not the same as yours. It's Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady's going to take home the MVP award this year. He has the weapons around. He's going to put up the numbers. They're going to win lots of games down there in Tampa Bay, and he's going to show that he's still that MVP caliber player.
Yep, Harsh, I have to agree with you exactly on this one. I think Tom Brady's going to, at 43 years old, he's going to take home the MVP. I think he's got the weapons now. He's got the coaching staff. He's got a great team around him, and I just think he leads the Tampa Bay Buccaneers deep this year and wins MVP.
Well, firstly, Abi, I can't believe that you did not say this, being a Seahawks fan yourself, but I'm gonna have to go with Russell Wilson. I feel like that last year, you know, arguably he had a really good season. He was in the MVP conversation. But I think this year with the more experienced wide receivers such as DK Metcalf, who's been putting on a show, and him having more offensive weapons, I think that Russell Wilson is about to win this MVP award and come from the dark and show that he can get the job done over Tom Brady too.
You know, Rayon, I think Russell Wilson's like, you know, a fantastic choice to go with. But throughout his career, he hasn't received one MVP vote. I don't think that's changing next year. You know, he just doesn't get the respect in the league to win the MVP award.
Chad, what do you think?
I'll go with the guy where everybody hates the head coach, and the narrative is that Deshaun Watson is the reason the Texans win. And Billy O'Brien's won a lot of games down in Houston. And so what I'm going to say is everybody will keep giving the credit to Deshaun Watson, and he wins MVP as the Texans take home the AFC South for like the 5th time in 7 years.
Now, do you think that's going to be still possible? I mean, Deshaun Watson lost a valuable asset in DeAndre Hopkins. Like, isn't that
DeAndre Hopkins is the most overrated player in football.
Whoa.
On the field. Guys like Will Fuller, Kenny Stills, those guys that get open and stretch a defense. I think Deshaun Watson this year is going to be fantastic. And, he's already probably a top 5 quarterback. And we all know that who wins the MVP awards, it's quarterbacks. I love the Russell Wilson pick, and it's fascinating to me. He's never gotten an MVP vote.
Yeah.
Guys like Derek Carr have like 3. So the lack of respect for Russell Wilson is it's just unbelievable. And you got to look at it. A year ago, who would have said Lamar Jackson was going to win the MVP?
Yep. For sure. That's one of the best things about the NFL, right? Like, we love being proved wrong. Like, people were saying, oh, he's a running back, but psych, he proved everybody wrong. So there's always an opportunity for somebody to rise. And, it could very well maybe Tom Brady at such an old age, or it could be Russell Wilson, who so deservingly deserves this over the past couple of years.
If I was a betting man, I'd also throw one out there. And I don't know if he'll necessarily do it in his second year, but Kyler Murray, there's something special about him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Not to offend you, but he's like a better Russell Wilson. He has that projection ahead of him.
No.
Let's not put the cart before the horse now.
Well, what do we think about Tua Tagovailoa? For sure that injury set him back, but do we think he's about to bounce back even more and be in the conversation in the next 3 years?
Yeah, it'll all be health. Does he start the season start as the starter, or does he kind of learn as an apprentice under Fitzpatrick? And I also think there's a chance where he just redshirts the entire rookie year. So I wouldn't put the MVP on him quite yet, or even offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think the Dolphins are going to throw him out there to begin the season with. I feel like they want to have the offensive line prove themselves that they can actually protect a quarterback before they throw, Tua with his hip injury out there, risking him.
Yeah, he's already dealt with a lot of injuries, and I don't really know if he's a player who can perform every night for the Dolphins. And I just don't think that he's gonna do a lot of things in the league next year. I think give him a couple years to develop as a player.
All right. Well, let's move on to the biggest and largest prize in NFL next season, guys. That being the Super Bowl champs. Chad, I want to start with you. Who do you got for your lock for the 2020 NFL champs?
How about them Cowboys?
Whoa. Oh.
Roster's loaded. Dak signs his contract, comes back. He's got all the weapons at wide receiver. Defense takes the next step. The Cowboys win the Super Bowl.
Them Cowboys, I see. You're going with the NFC East. I got to go with the NFC South. Me and my boy Tom Brady. Tom Brady's about to come into the Super Bowl,
yep.
Win out the NFC. He's going to go to that Super Bowl. He's going to see Patrick Mahomes, maybe Lamar Jackson, maybe Deshaun Watson, and he's going to destroy them. He's going to torture them, and he's going to show them why he's the man.
Exactly. Harsh, 100% agree with you, man. They've added key pieces like Rob Gronkowski. We've seen that dynamic duo. Making an NBA reference to Kobe and Shaq. Like, those two have a different type of chemistry, and it's a good chemistry. And them having offensive weapons like Mike Evans, I think that Tom Brady, for him, man, age is just truly a number. He's about to put on a show in the NFC South, easily get through them. NFC East with the Cowboys is going to be no problem. Sure, the Cowboys added some good assets like CeeDee Lamb, which, can we say, how did he fall that late in the draft firstly? But despite them having Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and other weapons like Ezekiel Elliott, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers about to put on a show and go to the Super Bowl again.
I honestly think it's going to be New Orleans Saints. I think they're dying for a Super Bowl win, and I think they've got the right pieces this year. You look at, obviously, Michael Thomas, but I think what's key in their offense now is the addition of Emmanuel Sanders. They've never truly had a number 2 receiver, and I feel like Drew Brees just adding more firepower. I think this is the year that they get it done.
And no doubt that the Saints are a great team, but I always feel like that they somehow underperform in the playoffs, as we've seen in the last 3 years. And I don't know if it's luck or it's just not being able to get. It's a bit of both. But and I don't want to keep saying this team, but I'm gonna have to go with the reigning champs, the Chiefs again.
Conventional.
I think that there's too much the Legion of Zoom, that whole team, offense, defense. I just think it's too good. And for until the Legion of Zoom disbands and a couple of receivers go away, I think that Patrick Mahomes will lead that team to another ring.
Chad, let me ask you, why you got the Cowboys over the Chiefs? You've seen, as well as all of us, how good of a show that Patrick Mahomes has put on. What makes you think that Dak Prescott has more, or the team has more?
I'm not a trend guy, all right? Great offenses right now sell. it looks popular, but you got to have a complete team. The Chiefs defense doesn't do it. Cowboys have a lot of talent on that defense. A little bit got hurt last year with Van Der Esch. I like their corners a lot more than most people do. So I look at it and say, okay, we've got a pass rush. I think Alvin Smith somehow can have a crazy good year. I'm shocked about it. I like what they've got in that offensive line. I think this is their key. They got a couple years left. Obviously, Travis Frederick's out, but they can run the ball and they're balanced on offense. Like McCarthy's year away from football, I think that helps. And I think the Cowboys, to me, they're loaded. Like the fact that they didn't make the playoffs last year was just that's why Jason Garrett gets fired. The team has so much talent. Jerry Jones used to be a lot more criticized about how he builds teams. He's done a really good job, and they're just loaded.
Chad, let me ask you a question here about the Cowboys in terms of Dak Prescott. What's your opinion on him? I know some people believe that he's a top 10 quarterback in the league and some don't. Do you go one way or the other?
Yeah, I think he's like probably the 8th or 9th best quarterback in the NFL. I think guys like Matthew Stafford are better than him. But you can make, I would easily say you can make the argument that Dak is a better quarterback than Stafford. He shows up every Sunday. He hasn't been hurt. He can run the ball. He's a very good quarterback. Now, do I want to pay him $35 million like the Seahawks or handing Russell Wilson? I'm not sure. And so I like what the Cowboys are doing. I'd rather go 1 year to year with him if I could. And sure, that might end up like what Kirk Cousins happened in D.C., where he leaves eventually. But I'm not necessarily looking to commit like $115, $120 million to him, which is what he'll want given the contracts Jared Goff and Carson Wentz signed.
Well, what do you think? The Cowboys reportedly offered him a 5-year, $175 million contract. And I think that's like one of the largest contracts for a QB in NFL history. Him turning it down, is it starting to be too much? Is the drama I feel like this drama's been going on for a long time. Do you think it's just time for Dak to cave in and accept the contract, Chad?
Yeah, he's bet on himself to this point. He could have signed an extension last offseason, which wouldn't have been at the $35 million per year level. But, he took the risk of I could get injured, and I've only made $4 or $5 million in my NFL career to this point. So at this point, he's right to want to cash in. Now, the thing is that the Cowboys want him to realize that it's like kind of a privilege to play quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. It's like one of those. It's kind of like playing center field for the New York Yankees. And he's like, no, that's not how it works. Like, you got me for 4 years at a severe discount to what I'm worth. Now's the time to pay me. So I see both sides of the argument. And, if you're the agents, you don't want to take a discount to what Russell Wilson got. You're a year later, the cap's risen by $12 million in that time. So, $35 million a year is probably what I would want too. But I don't understand, some guys, and granted, it's hard for fans to recognize this, and even people like us, where, what's the difference between making $35 million and $30 million? But to those guys, it's kind of a pride. It's a badge of honor.
Well, all right, let me ask you about something which happened last season, and that being the last year's 2019 NFL MVP, Lamar Jackson. We don't know what do you think? Do you think that he's about to get shut down? Is his uniqueness about to be going down? What do you think about it?
His rookie year offensive coordinator was Marty Morningweg, who's respected around the league. Obviously, he failed as the head coach. But, he was telling his friends around the league, this kid's a wide receiver, even a year into his first season. So there was even doubt inside the building of how good Lamar would be. And then all of a sudden, Greg Roman comes along, and the offense that he built just perfectly tailored to his skills. And what you see is and I'm not going to say that he's going to, regress to, what happened to RG3, but what happens in the NFL is defensive coordinators figure out what you do really well. They catch up. So I do see that happening is if he doesn't evolve as a quarterback and become more, accurate in the passing game, then yeah, sure, defensive coordinators are going to catch up, and there's good ones in that AFC North.
For sure, we saw that against the Titans. That's one of the main reasons why Lamar Jackson literally got shut down. The defensive line did not let him get through.
Speaking of the Titans, what kind of threat does Mike Vrabel present to, the Coach of the Year award? Do you really think he can pull it through this year?
Another 9 wins for Mike Vrabel. He'll probably get to the playoffs as the 7th seed, and then Derrick Henry will become superhuman. He'll win a game. But I think the AFC South is really a competitive division outside of Jacksonville. And for so many years, it's been like, oh, somebody's going to separate and win 12 or 13 games, but it always ends up being around 11 to 9 wins. So it's hard to win the the Coach of the Year award with 9 to 11 wins. It always ends up being either a team everybody totally discounted or somebody that wins 13 or 14 games.
That's what we saw. The Ravens went 14-2. That's how Jim Harbaugh, Ravens coach, won. Now, Chad, one last thing before.
It's interesting. It's interesting on this question because I think the separation between the really good coaches like Belichick, Sean Payton, Harbaugh, Andy Reid to the rest of the guys, it's never been wider. It's like it's almost like Mahomes to like Tannehill. The gap between how good the great head coaches are and the guys that are just kind of okay. And so Mike Vrabel is one of those guys that's in between being one of the great coaches. He's got a different style, and definitely the guys respect him. But there's really like 8 coaches in the league where you say, wow, like that's some guy that I really think has a chance of winning the Super Bowl. Definitely.
All right, man. Chad, one last thing before we let you go, man. We want to ask you, it would be wrong if we don't ask you about the Chicago Bears. We're all Chicago boys and grew up in this area. We want to ask you, what are your thoughts on the Bears' future? And do you see them going far in the postseason in this upcoming season?
Most loaded question in football, because I think there's a lot of drama in the building where the general manager took the quarterback and Matt Nagy says, I'm not tied to him. So they go out and trade for Nick Foles. And they really misjudged the market in the sense that you could have had Andy Dalton for like $4 or $5 million. And instead you take on Nick Foles for $20 million. So I understand that they liked him and he was their guy, but they're certainly overpaying for that, for Nick Foles, who's really a backup quarterback. And it'll be interesting to see what happens to Ryan Pace ultimately. Does he survive there? Because, he missed on Kevin White. He missed on Leonard Floyd. And sure, he's hit on some mid-round picks like Eddie Jackson. Tarek Cohen's a good player. And Allen Robbins, a great free agent sign, Akeem Hicks. So he's had his success, but he's also had some failures. So he's very lucky that he has a very patient ownership group. And I think they'll give him a chance to be the general manager either after Nagy or kind of coexisting with him. But what's going to be the real question mark is whether there's a huge divide that develops between the general manager and the head coach, where one of them says to ownership, choose me or I'm gone. And I don't think Ryan Pace will do that. And I don't think he has that kind of ego. But I could totally see Matt Nagy going to the McCaskies and saying, it's either me and the guy that I handpicked to be my general manager or I'm out.
Yeah, for sure. They present some tensions, I think, especially with the whole Mitch Trubisky v. Nick Foles open competition. We've discussed previously on this show that we think it's more like a PR stunt that they're trying to host, but they know deep in their hearts that Nick Foles is going to be the quarterback because they've given too many chances to Mitch Trubisky. What do you think about that?
What I would do is you can look at it from if you're in Matt Nagy's shoes and Ryan Pace wants Trubisky to be the quarterback, if you start Foles at the beginning of the season and he fails, he can't, the team goes, 3-5 or, 2-6, and all of a sudden you say, shoot, Nick Foles isn't the answer. You can't go back to Trubisky. Yeah. So I think what you do is you let Trubisky either succeed or fail, and you're not, you pull the goalie, I guess, early, where you say, if he's not getting the job done, we'll go to Foles in week 5 or week 4. But I think it's incumbent upon them to at least give themselves the option of seeing if Trubisky can succeed.
All right, man. First, well, we loved having you on the show, Chad. It was an honor, and we love talking about this season and what's upcoming too, man. It's going to be interesting to see how this whole pandemic and everything is going to shift the schedule. So thank you so much for coming on. We would love to have you in the future. We all enjoyed it.
Let me ask you guys a question before I go. So you guys are juniors in high school?
Yeah.
And so, because you guys are lucky, you're not going to college next year.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Well, you guys can edit this out, but I wish you guys the best of luck. And our business definitely needs some bright minds like you guys. So it was fun coming on with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Happy Memorial Day.
All right. Take care, man. Thank you. See ya. All right, guys. We hope that you enjoyed our analysis with Chad Forbes. We really enjoyed having him on the show, and we hope that you enjoyed this new type of episode in which we had some other people joining us and discussing things such as the NFL season. We hope that you guys enjoyed. Leave your takes in the comments below. As always, like, subscribe, and we hope to catch you guys on the next one. See ya.